Welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated, I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner. And joining me, as he so often does, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. And Andrew got a lot of the UNC football program, I should say, got a lot of news on Monday morning. We're here to talk about some of the three players, I should say, that have decided to opt out of the Orange Bowl and declare for the 2021 NFL Draft. Those three players, as of right now, Dyami Brown, Michael Carter, and Chazz Surratt. And just some clarification I want to give real quick on Javonte Williams. He is still deciding, this is per UNC and Jeremy Sharp, he is still in the process of deciding whether or not he is going to declare for the draft or not. So that is still an ongoing decision. So as of right now, as of this recording, Javonte Williams is yet to make a decision on whether or not he'll declare for the draft and maybe even opt out of the bowl game. So just a little
clarification. Practicing too. To also clarify.
Yeah.
This is straight from UNC during the press conference because there was some misunderstanding out there. Mm-hmm. They initially told us that Carter, Dyami, and Chazz are not going to play in the bowl game. And for Dyami, he's also going pro. They're in the draft. Yep. So they're all done. Mm-hmm. And then after we did player interviews, Jeremy came in and clarified that Javonte practiced Monday. Mm-hmm. He's still waiting on information. And we'll use that information to make a final decision. As of right now, he's practicing and he is not opted out. He may still opt out, but that decision, as of the time we're doing this podcast, which is right after Mac's press conference just ended, 10 minutes ago, if leaving that, right now, Javonte is kind of in limbo. The other three are out. They don't expect anybody else to opt out.
Exactly. Good clarification on that, because that was something that was kind of being talked about on Twitter, but that we can only report what we've been told, and that's what we were told.
When we make a tweet, we say per UNC. That means it's straight from Carolina for public use.
Exactly. So if you ever see the per UNC, it's not us making up stuff. It's UNC directly telling us stuff. So we can only report what we've been told. AJ, let's focus on the three guys that have declared: Dyami Brown, Michael Carter, Chazz Surratt. Obviously, three big losses for this team. Three of Carolina's best players. Two on the offensive side and one on the defense in Surratt. But AJ, what are your overall thoughts on those guys kind of declaring for the draft? I think it's something we're not surprised to see at all. Maybe a little bit surprised to see them, all three of them, opting out of the bowl game. But that's something we've really become accustomed to see over the past few years, especially from players across the country. So what are your overall thoughts on those three guys going?
Well, Dyami news is big because it means he won't be back next year. We knew that Chazz and Michael weren't going to be back.
They were gone anyway.
They had one or zero more games left in Carolina uniforms. Mm-hmm. So my initial reaction is I'm not surprised. I actually told some people last night to brace themselves for it because a lot of fans are reacting negatively, saying, well, how could they do this to their teammates?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that on Twitter, yeah.
How can they let the fans down and all that kind of stuff? I kind of look at it, but I totally get that. I was a high school athlete. I played three sports in high school. I played a lot of sports in my life, and I've been around it. I totally get the whole commitment thing, but I never had options like this in front of me.
No, I didn't have an NFL option.
So that's totally unrelatable in that sense. Look, these guys, they went to North Carolina to get an education to play football and to position themselves to have the options that they now have.
Exactly.
God bless them for having those options. Mm-hmm. And God bless them for being able to make a decision that could change their lives forever. So I get it. It makes total sense. The whole point of going to college is to get a job. Mm-hmm. Well, they've done everything that they need to position themselves to get a job and get a really well-paying job and a job that doesn't have a very long lifespan, if you will.
Yeah.
And why risk most guys get injured in practice. Mm-hmm. DJ Jones got injured during practice the week after the Western Carolina game. He's out. He was on crutches yesterday at the award banquet, and he's out, and he's not going to be able to play in the bowl game. So if Javonte decides not to play, they're going to be down possibly their top three running backs because DJ had really been coming along.
Yeah, it's possible.
So guys get hurt. So you have all these practices, and then you have a game. Why risk it? So I totally understand. I understand both sides because fans want to see their full team go up against Texas A&M. They fear, oh my gosh, no Dyami, no Chazz, no MC. Texas A&M is going to kill us. It was going to be hard enough to begin with. I get all that. Yeah. But at the same time, I do think there's a positive here, Jacob. Mm-hmm. And the positive is, and Mac said this when I asked him about it 20 minutes ago, if that. Yes, he's excited to see other guys step up. those dudes are at UNC because they can play football.
Exactly.
They're on scholarship too. I love when coaches on a really good team or go up against an undermanned team and they remind their players, hey, they're on scholarship too. So we, as people who cover the team, and many of you watching this who are fans, get a chance to see maybe Emery Simmons is more of a featured receiver, Joffrey Brown filling in for his brother, or you get to see a little bit more of Josh Henderson. I think a lot of people have been waiting to see what Josh Henderson can do. Well, he may very well get 40 reps against Texas A&M. And not only is that interesting just from a what can they do perspective, but it's going to help for next year because all the guys that are going to step in and play will be on next year's team. And they're going to go into that season with the reps they get in practice the next 2 weeks and in the Orange Bowl against the number 5 team in the country that they wouldn't have gotten had these other guys not opted out. So this actually helps the 2021 Tar Heels more than if the other 3 played and gobbled up all the reps they would have gotten.
Exactly. That was one thing I was going to ask you about, but you already answered it. You know, this year's team.
I rambled on, Jacob.
No, you're good. This year's team.
Sometimes.
This year's team, it obviously hurts because like I said, you're losing 3 of the most talented players. And like I said, with Javonte still deciding potentially 4 of literally the best players on the team when it comes to playing that final bowl game against Texas A&M down in Miami. But like you said, for the future of the program, this might be kind of a blessing in disguise because like you mentioned, you got guys that haven't gotten a lot of reps or maybe have seen limited reps this year. They're going to be thrown into the fire against one of the top teams, the number 5 team in the country that, you know, like we mentioned in yesterday's podcast, has a pretty good argument to feel like they should be in that top 4 for the college football playoff. So, I mean, just the experience that those guys are going to get is going to bode well for the program moving forward. And not only that, but with practice reps as well, because these guys are going to be running now with the ones when they probably would have been running with the second team had, you know, Dyami, Michael, and Chazz decided to stay and play. So overall, your overall thought, it sounds like you're not really surprised.
No, not at all. One more guy I want to throw out there is Eugene Asante. Jay Bateman was telling us back in August, this Eugene Asante guy is terrific. We're going to have a hard time keeping him off the field. Well, he didn't play a lot.
Yeah, we didn't see him much.
And Jay has told us a couple of times, you know, Jeremiah Gemmel and Chazz Surratt are so good, they just can't pull him off the field. Well, Chazz is out of the equation now, so we're going to get a chance to see Eugene Asante get 60 snaps against Texas A&M. I would imagine Bateman can't wait to see what he does because Asante is going to prepare like the starter for 2 weeks. He's going to play starter reps in that game, and then he'll go into spring not a returning starter, but he'll know what it's like to be the guy. He'll already know what it's like to prepare as the starter and to get the kind of reps you get in the game as a starter. It's one thing to get maybe 10, 12, 15 reps, but when you're out there getting 60, he'll have a whole offseason to kind of understand what that requires. And this team has huge aspirations for next year. So the more guys that they get into that mindset that would have to step up next year anyway, the more the guys that can have that mindset this winter and getting ready for spring and then getting ready through the summer before August camp opens up, the better. I maintain 100%, Jacob. This helps the 2021 Tar Heels. Doesn't help for the Orange Bowl, but maybe it does. These guys can play. Maybe they step up and play really well. Maybe Sam has an incredible game. Maybe the defensive backs have a great game and they're able to pick off some passes. And nobody knows right now at the time of this recording how many guys A&M's going to lose. Yeah, they're sure that they're going to lose a few dudes too. They'll be in a similar boat.
Yeah, so it's AJ. Last thing I want to talk about before we wrap this thing up. What has it been like? You've obviously been here since the beginning, covering all these guys. Michael Carter, Chazz Surratt, who came in, you know, a long time ago, and Dyami, that obviously has been here a little bit shorter time. But what has it been like, kind of just following the journey of these guys and kind of seeing them coming as freshmen to now guys that are, you know, legit NFL prospects and have a legit shot at making a career at the next level?
Well, Dyami was a huge pickup at the time, 4-star receiver, and the program had already started its steep downward decline. But he still came and didn't play a ton early as a freshman. And some people question, well, gee, why isn't he – because a lot of times fans will see the recruiting numbers and they'll think, well, that guy could step right in and play, but it takes time. We talked to – Dean and I talked about that in another podcast about some of the freshmen like Tony Grimes. Well, so people were wondering in September, why isn't he getting on the field? Well, it takes time. You got to learn how to play the position. Dyami had to learn how to play the position. But when Sam arrived, the two of them are pals. They work out together a lot in the offseason, and it was just an amazing connection right there. And Dyami's game exploded. The only 2-time 1,000-yard receiver in Carolina history. That says a lot. So Dyami's game exploded his sophomore year, and he continued to ascend. He had fewer drops this year. He He ran more routes, had a wider variety of the types of balls that he caught. So he's definitely positioned himself at the next level. With Michael Carter, 4-year guy, played as a true freshman, had some really good games, a couple of 100-yard games, I believe, as a true freshman, scored 2 touchdowns in his first ever game against Cal. Option pitches from Chazz Surratt. Pretty cool stuff. I'm sure you could find the video if you Google it. It's kind of neat to look back on that now. And Michael's become sort of a spokesman for the program. He's a young man that clearly the college experience has helped him in so many ways. And he's a college graduate. Took his last exam back before Thanksgiving. He was very excited about that. And then with Chazz, it's one of the most remarkable stories I've covered at any level, pro or college, of the things I've covered in my career. To think that he went from he was a solid quarterback. Let's remember 2017 when all the injuries hit, and then Chazz just started getting beaten up like crazy out there and was playing injured, a laceration on his thigh, the ligament problem in his hand. And it was just a declining situation. When he was healthy and the team was more healthy, look at what he did against Cal. Look at what he did against Louisville. Look at what he did against ODU. He was a solid quarterback, and there was an assistant on that staff that told me he thought Chazz could become an NFL quarterback. It's not my opinion. I'm just telling you what someone who was on that staff told me that year and even the next year. But then for Chazz to flip the script completely and become an all-ACC, all-America style linebacker who's going to go high in the draft is an incredible story. Very few people thought he could do it. When we first announced it in December 2 years ago, people thought we were idiots. They thought we were fools for falling for some kind of a joke. Well, the joke is on them because Chazz has been a damn good football player on the defensive side of the ball. It's a great story. And his parents are going to enjoy the NFL draft because Sage and Chazz are going to go high, and they're going to stick around the league for a long time. It's a really neat story.
Exactly. Pretty awesome story for the Surratt family, especially with Chazz. But yeah, AJ, it's, I think these are 3 guys that have had really good careers at Carolina. I think all 3 of them deserve to get a shot to play at the next level, and it's up to them to take it. But, congratulations to them for getting to this point. Definitely exciting for the program and exciting for these 3 moving forward. So a little recap: Dyami Brown, Michael Carter, and Chazz Surratt all opting out of the Orange Bowl and declaring for the 2021 NFL draft. That's going to do it for this podcast. AJ, thanks for joining me, man. As always, guys, be sure to like this video, be sure to share it, and be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.